this is Le Monde. Syria at the center of Israel's strategy to prevent Hezbollah from rebuilding its arsenal. So Israel from the beginning was invested in the success of the rebels in terms of breaking up the axis of resistance. No one can deny that. No one can deny that. Does that automatically disqualify the rebels? No, I didn't claim that. I didn't claim that because it doesn't. Israel wants to position itself so it wins no matter what. So it's going to have support for Assad in the case that Assad is able to stop the rebellion, and it's going to support the rebels to a qualified degree in case the rebels win. That's the strategy that Israel always plays, to make sure that it is winning no matter the outcome. People are not understanding this. So Syria rebels appear to credit Israeli strikes on Hezbollah with aiding shock advance. So the Israelis are taking credit for the success of the rebels. Israeli tanks have entered the Syrian town of Quneitra near the occupied Golan from the demilitarized zone, accompanied by shelling of nearby areas. This follows increased IOF deployment in the Golan yesterday and the fall of Bashar al-Assad regime today. So while this is happening, Israel is advancing. Israel grabs land in Syria's Golan Heights, warns villagers to stay home. Israeli forces also bomb weapons depot in southern Syria and the capital Damascus, Israeli media reports. You have Israel now advancing to such an extent that they're within 20 kilometers of Damascus. That's how serious this situation is. This is what Israel is doing right now. And have we heard anything from Jolani? Have we heard anything from the rebels that we're supposed to view as the Mujahideen who are going to establish Sharia and the glory of a Sunni caliphate? Like, are they the ones who look at what is, and this is my question, like, look at this map. 20 kilometers is nothing. Explain to me what is stopping Israel from just marching into Damascus right now. Damascus is even less defended than Gaza. Gaza, at least, has a tunnel system, has a resistance force that has prepared for decades to fight against the IDF. Damascus is even less defended and less prepared for an IDF invasion than Gaza. Isn't that shocking? Isn't that very troubling? Isn't that extremely troubling to anyone who cares about Syria or the Middle East? What is stopping? And you have Smotrich, you have the finance minister, and Ben-Gvir, the defense minister, saying, "Yeah, we want Damascus to be part of Israel." They've explicitly said it. So what's really stopping them? Like, and I've asked people, and there's no answer. There's no answer. The only way to stop the Israeli advance is to ally. With who? Who are they going to ally with? I wonder. Are they going to ally with the US? The US is going to help them? Or is it going to be Iran and Hezbollah and Russia? Are they going to help stop Israel from advancing? What's the rational choice? What's the only choice? There is only one choice. And the problem with the sectarians and the Medkhalis and all of these fools is that they want to lie to you and prevent you from realizing the reality. Because if they admit it, then they admit that they lost the argument completely. My position has been consistent. Whoever is ruling Syria has to ally in a pan-Islamist alliance with other powers in the region. Ideally, Turkey. Turkey will play a major role. But unfortunately, Turkey is not willing to directly support HTS. Against Israel, at least. Why? Because it'll bring sanctions. Going against Israel directly will bring sanctions because, as we've seen, HTS is still considered a terror group. And that's why the U.S. is still not sure. Should we keep them on the terror group or not? And the whole question is, will HTS say anything against Israel or act against Israel? If they do, they're staying on the terror group. And that means that Turkey is not going to risk sanctions by supporting HTS and the rebels, at least not directly. So they're not going to get the weapons that they need to defend Damascus. So why wouldn't Israel take this opportunity to just roll on in Damascus? You end up cutting off southern Lebanon from Iran so that when they continue to break the ceasefire, they have a much better chance of eliminating Hezbollah. That's what Israel wants. That's why they're advancing along the border northward. Because the real target is Hezbollah. This is a very dangerous, bad situation, shockingly bad situation. And the Mujahideen that we're supposed to all support and cheerlead and celebrate with, they're missing in action. So people are not wanting, the sectarians are not willing to acknowledge this reality. They're hoping that we don't notice it. But I've been consistent. My position is pan-Islamism, alliance, and that is the case no matter who's in charge of Syria. No matter who's in charge of Lebanon, for that matter. No matter who's in charge of Yemen, for that matter. If tomorrow the Houthis are displaced by a Sunni faction, my position is not defeated. I'm not proven wrong by that. Because whatever Sunni faction that is, they need to ally with other countries and other powers, including Iran. My position is consistent. This is what Israel wants to do. Can you see? They want to just balkanize Syria and cut it up and divide it. They want to return to this state that existed prior to the state of Israel. Just keep it divided, separate, have the Kurds in the north as a buffer with Turkey to keep Turkey occupied. Then have a state of Damascus, to have a state for Druze, have a state for Alawis, just divide and conquer. Just have separate warring states constantly negotiating their borders. Because as long as they're doing that, we can take as much as we want. We can control as much as we want. We can move in Israeli settlers as much as we want. That's the plan. Israel strikes in Syria, target weaponry it fears could be acquired by hostile forces. So 300 strikes over the past 48 hours, destroying the Navy, the Air Force, the Air Defense Network, the missile arsenal, military research and development facilities, command centers. They've also invaded southern Syria with tanks advancing up to 20 kilometers from Damascus. This is what Israel is doing with no opposition. And then these morons are saying, oh, this proves that Assad was actually helping Israel. This shows that Israel is opposed to HTS. And HTS are the true mujahideen. This is proof. No, you idiot. No, you moron. Israel is just taking the opportunity to cripple Syria and make sure that there's no capabilities to oppose Israel. They would have done the same thing with Assad. The only thing is you have Russia and Iran who will retaliate. Just like Iran retaliated with Operation True Promise 1 and 2. Now that Iran is being kicked out of Syria and Russia has been all but kicked out of Syria, then now is the time, because we don't have to worry as much about retaliation. Iran is not going to come and support HTS because HTS is declaring war on Iran, according to some reports. So the fact that Israel is bombing Syria and neutering Syria and its ability to do anything militarily, that doesn't prove anything. That doesn't prove anything. It only proves that exactly what I've been saying, that Israel wants all these Muslim nations to be completely demilitarized, to have enough weapons where they can kill each other, for Syrians to kill each other. So make sure that the Syrians have enough AKs, make sure the Syrians have enough, light munitions and grenades and whatever, mines, landmines, make sure they have enough of that, but nothing that can actually threaten Israel. So no long-range weapons, no missiles, no cruise missile, nothing. No air defense. We want Syria to be like Gaza. That's what we want. So that we can just do whatever we want, as long as we want with Syria. If Syria gets out of line, more bombing, more economic sanctions, more terror groups being sent into the country. That's what we want, without any kind of opposition. This is a very stark and scary future for Syria that Israel is drawing up with the help of the U.S. So this is the state spokesperson, the White House spokesperson, making this statement. Let's listen. Because he's being asked about Israel has gone across the Golan Heights. The UN has said it's a violation. Does the U.S. agree? So let's listen to this.
Israel has said that, since the first time since the aftermath of the Yom Kippur War has openly gone across the Golan Heights and said it's creating what it calls a temporary buffer zone. How do you think it's a violation? Does the United States agree? First of all, does the U.S. agree that it's a violation?
So let me say a few things about it. Number one, I think it's important to put in context what happened that led up to this event. First of all, the Syrian army abandoned its positions in the area around the negotiated Israeli-Syrian buffer zone, which potentially creates a vacuum that could have been filled by terrorist organizations that would threaten the state of Israel and would threaten civilians inside Israel. Every country has the right to take action against terrorist organizations, and every country, I think, would be worried about a possible vacuum that could be filled by terrorist organizations on its border, especially in volatile times, as we obviously are in right now in Syria.
So this is Israel and the U.S. always use this as an excuse to invade countries in the Middle East. That's why they've invaded Afghanistan, because they said that, Afghanistan did not attack us in 9/11. It wasn't the Taliban, it wasn't Afghanistan, but Afghanistan is harboring Al-Qaeda. Al-Qaeda is being harbored by Afghanistan, therefore we have to invade because they're harboring terrorists. Same thing with Saddam, same thing. This is always their excuse. This is always the reasoning that they give.
The second thing that is important is that Israel has said that these actions are temporary to defend its borders. These are not permanent actions. And so
false. They've already claimed that what they've taken over is theirs permanently. Netanyahu has already claimed it.
Ultimately, what we want to see is lasting stability between Israel and Israel and Syria. And that means we support all sides upholding the 1974 disengagement agreement.
Do you feel that they're holding up that disengagement agreement?
Well, look, this is a temporary action that they have taken in response to actions by the Syrian military to withdraw from that area. Now, what we want to see ultimately is that agreement fully upheld, and we will watch to see that Israel does that. They have said that this is a temporary action, and we're going to be watching what steps they take in the coming weeks.
You're saying watching what steps they'll take. I mean, do you want them to take
Of course,
steps?
we will be engaging with them as well. But ultimately, it's important that there is security along that border. Right now, there was potentially a vacuum created by the withdrawal of Syrian forces. We don't want to see a vacuum there either that could be filled by terrorist organizations. That's not good for, not just for Israel's security. It wouldn't be helpful potentially to the people of Syria. If you see a terrorist group move into the area that was vacated by Syrian forces, and it could lead to an outbreak of hostilities across that border, something that we don't want to see either.
I mean, just to make sure I'm understanding correctly, you're saying basically that the U.S. wants this Israeli move to be temporary, that you don't want a permanent.
So look, as I said, we want to see the 1974 disengagement agreement upheld, and that includes the terms of the buffer zones, which includes Israel withdrawing to its previous position.
Yeah, so we'll see if that actually happens. Spoiler alert, it won't. Spoiler, the Israelis are saying, finders keepers, it's ours now, tough, and don't tempt us to go further. In fact, we are planning, just you wait. Biden says U.S. will support Syria and its neighbors after Assad dynasty collapses. So this is what they're waiting for. Like, yeah, we're going to, as long as these rebels are going to accept our influence and accept Israel, everything's going to be A-okay. This is them filling the vacuum and preventing terrorism. We're going to work with these rebels. But that's the thing. All sides are saying this. Iran has also said this. Iran, Russia has said this. The Houthis have said this. That we're going to work with the rebel forces. We're going to work with the new leadership in Syria. And it's really a waiting game. What is the new government going to do? Who are they going to ally with? Netanyahu claims credit for starting historic process that led to the fall of Assad regime. IDF takes control of buffer zone along the border, including Syrian side of Mount Hermon. Said to bomb missile research facilities and chemical weapon stores around Damascus. This is an interesting interview. A top Syria expert explains Washington's next move. Syrian President Assad's downfall could be an opportunity for Donald Trump. So how does Donald Trump play into all this? So they're interviewing a Middle East expert, okay, probably a Zionist. So this is a question asked the expert. But the leading rebel group that just took Damascus, HTS, is a radical Islamist group, and its leader, Abu Muhammad al-Jawlani, once fought with al-Qaeda in Iraq against the Americans, though he's since broken with the extremists publicly. So is it accurate to say they're not going to be an enemy of the U.S.? And this is the answer. Well, that's what obviously the United States is going to determine. Jolani has made it very clear that there's no place for extremism in Syria. He said he wants to be friends with everybody. And Syria's only enemies are Iran and Hezbollah and Assad. So he's clearly saying all the right things. And yes, the U.S. can say, I don't believe you, which it will do for some time, and it'll try to keep all this for leverage and to justify sanctions on him and his government to try to prevent it from rebuilding and to keep it poor. But if Jolani doesn't declare war on Washington and says that he's trying to build a government and feed people so that they can come home and refugees can return, the U.S. is going to look bad if it doesn't come to terms with that. And Jolani has already been reaching out to the American government, from what I've heard from people in Washington. And so they're going to have to engage with him and take the measure of him and his new government. But they're going to have to act rather swiftly on this because the entire Arab world and larger world is going to want to give this new government the benefit of the doubt. That's what I'm doing, giving them the benefit of the doubt. But these are bad signs. These are bad signs that you're not coming out and denouncing the U.S. and Israel for what they're doing to Palestinians and what they have done to Syria. You're not denouncing that. And it's clear why. You are playing this game where you want U.S. support. You want to build relations with the United States. This is a very bad sign. And this is why it's dangerous for Biden to say that they'll support Syria. Why would he say that? Why would he say that? Because it's an open possibility. They haven't, the new government hasn't signaled anything to make the U.S. feel that, oh, they're not going to play ball. At least not yet. So are you starting to see that maybe this unqualified enthusiasm for HTS is not justified? Fine, give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. I'm just pointing out that these are serious red flags. So is he not, though, still on the U.S. terrorist list? I think there's a big price on his head. It's $10 million. There is a big price on his head, and there are many people in Washington who are working to get him off the terrorist list. The Washington Institute for Near East Policy has a number of people who have been arguing quite vociferously that Washington should take another look at him, and he's moderated and that he's done many good things. So as we'll see, Jolani has been associated with ISIS. He's been associated with Al-Qaeda. And he was considered a terrorist with a $10 million bounty on his head and associated with many atrocities committed against civilians. But now, we're considering taking him off of the terrorist, and the Washington Institute, the Zionist Institute, arguing, no, we should reconsider whether he's a terrorist. And Biden is saying that we're going to support, and people are saying, Washington officials are saying that this is an opportunity for Donald Trump. So what's going on here? You tell me.